Hey guys, we are back at Covenant, and today we have a tour of the throne room for the commander of the Pack Outpost here. Now, I had a ton of fun putting this place together. I did work around the existing structure and build it up just a little bit, of course, make it a little more junky as well. I did have to limit the decoration just a little bit as my frame rates in this settlement have started to erode pretty badly. But I think it still ended up looking pretty cool. Now, just as a reminder, if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the little bell notification icon. It really does help me out. But with that said, let's get started, shall we? We'll start things off with a walk around of the exterior, and as you can see, the gap in between the concrete wall and the structure has been blocked off, so nobody can walk behind the house. And the porch has been caged off as well. The guy who lives here is pretty paranoid, so much so that he only allows himself and his most trusted soldiers to live inside the walls. All the other pack members have to live outside. And you can see a body on a pike and a pack mannequin up there. Pretty standard raider decoration. Of course, you have a bunch of turrets around as well, just in case somebody gets in here that shouldn't be. Now you can see that junk wall there. Now that comes from a mod, CVC Dead Wasteland. And I added onto it with some wood bits there. And I'll go ahead and link all the mods I used in the description in a Google Doc. Now that brings us to the kennel. You can see just a couple of dog houses there. Just his own personal dogs. Whoa, looks like he's been feeding them humans. Is that a raider? Wow, I guess they really take discipline pretty seriously here. Wonder what she did to deserve that. And you can see the fairly junky dog houses here. More junk piled on top. Oh, looks like a disagreement there between a couple of gnomes. Well, I don't like the way that one's looking at me. Let's get out of here before he decides that we're next. Heading around the back, we have this nice makeshift hallway here. Of course, filled with mannequins and a couple of campfires, it looks like. Well, and I guess you can't have too many random chains hanging about. Wonder what they use those for. Now, taking a look back down that hallway, I totally didn't intend for this to happen, but I really love the way it looks. With the plant waving in the wind there, just creating those cool shadows on the walls. I just love that. Alright, moving along. We can see a lot of junk just laying around. And a lot of that came from CVC Dead Wasteland as well. Some of it from OC Decorator. But you can see just junk everywhere. Really should get someone back here to clean this up. What is that, a lawnmower? Don't think that's been used in a while. Of course, an old bombed out fridge there as well. And off in the corner, looks like a busted up bed, as well as a dresser. And what used to be a shelf, I guess. And that brings us to a little workshop. Before we go in there, let's check out these cages. Oh, looks like they might have forgot about that guy. Poor guy. Now, heading into the shack, we can see we have a little workshop here. Looks like some tools hanging on the wall there. Chemicals on the ground. Toolbox, of course. And then on this table, looks like we have some plants for making chems. And some barrels off to the right there. Wonder what they're storing in there. It's probably just water, I'm hoping. And of course, some plants for making chems there. Even have a scarecrow keeping an eye on them. Then on the table here, looks like we have a little bit of food prep going on. Some rad roach meat with a teddy bear keeping an eye on things. Let's move along before he gets a little rowdy. Now heading back this way, we can head up this ladder and check out the upstairs. Now from up here, you can get a decent view over the wall to the back of the settlement there. Get a good vantage point for anyone approaching. This guy is pretty paranoid after all. Of course, we have a turret keeping an eye on things. And then a little bit of storage going on back here, not a whole lot. Bunch of scrap just laying on the ground though. Now walking over this way, we can see the labor camp that we built several videos back. And that brings us to a lounge area for some of the trusted soldiers that are allowed to live inside the inner walls with their boss. Of course, you can see a little bit of chemical storage there, just random boxes. Looks like some beer laid out. And that brings us to the seating area. Looks like we have a little bit of alcohol and food laid out, as well as a Nuka-Cola Quantum. Of course, there's some Psycho and some ammunition as well. Let's take a look inside, shall we? So here we are, approaching the entrance to the throne room. Get a better look at the caged-off front porch. And of course, there's plenty of debris just laying on the ground. And over here we have a view into the kennel. Turning back around this way, we have a guard on duty. This is one of the trusted soldiers allowed to live inside of the walls, always keeping an eye out. You can see his rifle there leaning against the railing, as well as some bottle cap mines on a table with some jet, and of course a construction light powered by a makeshift battery. Now heading back to the door, of course there's a skull. I mean, they are raiders after all. And this is the throne room. Now before we take a closer look at what's going on in here, let's take a look at this smaller room over to the right. Now you can see it's fairly sparsely decorated, although he does have a prisoner chained up in here. Although, at least they are feeding her. And then of course, you have a mattress in the corner, and a bucket there to relieve yourself in. That's gotta smell great. Now heading back into the throne room, you can see a rocket launcher there with some rockets laid out on the crates. Looks like a terminal here with some food, a human skull. Of course, there's some mentats laid out in case he has to do some heavy thinking. A little bit of jet next to that chem box there. And that brings us to the throne, elevated a little bit so people would have to look up at him when he's sitting down. And of course, pack colors on the wall. I'm sure Mason would approve. Now walking over to this corner here, you have a little makeshift barricade protecting the bed while you sleep. And then there's some beer laid out, as well as a little bit of ammunition. And of course the end of dungeon steamer trunk. Can't have a raider outpost without that. And that is the throne room. Pretty cluttered. All kinds of junk on the ground and the walls. I know I say it a lot, but I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. It's really junky, just the way I like it. I'm really looking forward to building up the rest of the interior of Covenant. I have some interesting plans, a bar, some worker storage, little armor and weapons dealer as well. Should be some pretty interesting stuff. The final tour is not too far off, just a couple more videos and we should be there. Now, before we end the video, I just wanted to ask, with Fallout 76 coming, would you be interested in seeing a live stream of my first playthrough? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, I want to assure you that the Fallout 4 settlement content will continue. There are so many more settlements that I have to get to, as well as all of the different possibilities the Conquest mod offers to be able to build just about anywhere. So there will be plenty of Fallout 4 settlements to come. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Drop me a comment down below if you have any thoughts about this build or any of my other builds, or anything Fallout related really. Subscribe if you want to see when my next video goes live. As I said before, we'll be continuing on the interior of Covenant, and there's some pretty cool stuff coming. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and until then, enjoy your time in the Commonwealth.